Reading from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Canto 10, Chapter 24, Text 27. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hūyantām agnayaḥ samyag brāhmaṇair brahma-vādibhiḥ. Annaṁ bahu-guṇaṁ tebhyo deyaṁ dhenu-dakṣiṇāḥ. The Brahmins who are learned in the Vedic mantras must properly invoke the sacrificial fires. Then you should feed the priests with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts. Om agnayaḥ jnananjana shalakaya taksur unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Sri Chaitanya mano bhishnam stapitam yena bhutale Sayam rupa kadamayam tadati sapadantikam vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Greetings from Govardhan. Govardhan. Vardhan, like verdant, from my Spanish. Verde, green, go verde. The mountain which nourishes the cows. But more than, well, not more, just as it nourishes the cows, it really nourishes the devotees who sit by the side of this hill and feel that spiritual pleasure that emanates from the hill. We're really attached to staying. I just took lunch with Jai Jagannath and Bhakti Vigyan Swami. And this is called separation and union. I'm here, but I'm feeling the separation. And as I explained to people, it's really developed into this incredible, wonderful community now. With these beautiful retreat centers, and every day some nice people are coming to my small, humble little ashram. So we'll talk a little bit about the story. You know, it's the evening here, so I'm generally, when I give class in America, it's the morning, I'm a little bit more energetic. This is at the end of a long day for me, because I do get up very early every morning, not later than 2. So, well, we started in the same place. In the same place that Krishna didn't like one thing, his father was doing the same thing, which was antithetical to his mission to establish Sarva Dharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshasyami Masaja. That come to the conclusion, come to the goal. Vedaisya sarveham eva vedyo vedanta vid veda vid evaja. Of all the Vedas, I'm to be known. the ultimate objective of all spiritual practices is to develop love. Twasmin para prema rupa, and the highest form of love is to God, universal love. That's the objective, and that's what Krishna came to give. That's what he said in the book. He spoke himself. Sarva dharma, give up every other form and surrender unto me. Love. And in the Bhagavatam, when the sages of Naimisharanya were trying to figure out what practice they should do in this Kali Yuga, because religion is like medicine. It's prescribed according to the condition of the patient. So different people in different times require different spiritual practices generally. So they said, Buri Burini Karmani. If you go to the Vedas, there's so many different prescriptions, because the Vedas knowledge, it's a strategy for everyone to elevate in consciousness. And the goal of the Vedas is to free oneself of false ego. That's the basic conception of the Vedas. Basic conception of the Vedas is give up selfishness. That's the basic conception of the Vedas. You give up selfishness. But the highest form of giving up selfishness is to live in the soul, which is manifest in compassion, devotion, humility, gratitude, devotion. And therefore, the highest form of giving up the false ego, mukti hidva yata rupam. What is mukti? Mukti hidva, you give up yata rupam, the form which is superficial. Sarupena vivastita, and you become situated in your swarup, your authentic form, your authentic nature. So Krishna came to give that. So there may be many, many spiritual practices on many, many different levels, but Krishna came to give that. And he came to give that, and he came to give that militantly. Because the Bhagavatam says, Dharma kaitava projita. Dharma kaitava projita. Nirmatsaranam satam. Dharma, cheating religion. And what's cheating religion? The aim of religion is love. And love begins with sacrifice. There's no happiness in this life or the next without some kind of sacrifice. Some type of giving of oneself, giving up the things that one has, charity, responsibility, devotion. So that's where it begins. But it's meant to bring you to the platform of the soul. So it's called cheating religion, because the way the universe is organized, people here have material consciousness, and for them to be socialized, they have to perform some sacrifice, some responsibility, some tradition. I saw a very contemporary speaker, and I was surprised what he said. He said, without tradition, we're just animals. Without some kind of form of behavior or morality, cooperation, tradition. So the way it's inspired in this world is there's a reward, a material reward, if you make a sacrifice. The world is, I spoke about this before. Anena Pacific Sahayagya Praja Shrishva Parovaja Pajapati Anena Pacific Kwam Eshavo. Eshavo Swishta Kamaduk. Swishta, your desires, Kamaduk, will all be fulfilled by sacrifice. Your material and spiritual desires will be fulfilled. So, but at the same time, it's cheating because religion is meant to come to the soul. And that there's a religion that's inspired by material things. You do this, you'll get this. You do this, you'll get this. You do this, you'll get this. So that's a type of religion, but it's mixed with material consciousness so strongly. So it's not a very evolved process of consciousness. If people are just doing religion to fulfill their selfish desires, it's elevating societally because then people will follow certain principles. And they'll be associating with priests. I'm not giving a particular religion priest in a white collar. They'll be following people that run rituals and things like that. They'll learn that there's a fruit in the future. So they'll have some sense of 4 things happen even when you do materialistic religion. You have to do it within the confines of some religious system. So you should associate with people who are more evolved and spiritual. The fruits are given in the future, so you start to understand you're not the body. If you get the results, you get frustrated anyway. You understand that that's not the reward. So it has some type of spirit. But Krishna is militant here. He says, Sarvadharma Parityaja. You give up all that type of business. Just love. Just give yourself. Live in the soul. Dharma Projita Kaito, and give that up. And therefore, this process of Bhagavatam, this process of bhakti, Nirmatsaranam Satam, it's for the Satam, it's for the devotees. And we're not talking about an external dress or markings on the forehead. Nirmatsaranam, for those who don't have hate. And in that verse, hate is mentioned even in these religious activities, because what is it? What do you want? Material things. You want more control. It's mixed with hate of others, because you're not doing it for you. You're doing religion to get power, to get prestige, to get some material benefit, to get the accoutrements of power, to control the world around yourself. So it's really kind of mixed with this stuff. So he says, the Bhagavatam begins, Nirmatsaranam Satam, Nirmatsara, without that envy, without that hate, that's engaged in religious activities where you're doing it for a motive, going to heaven. We go to heaven and we can enjoy. So the result of spiritual life is just material consciousness that doesn't work here. There are people that live heavenly here. There's people with millions of dollars and they live in Montecito. I know that because I visited Dhanurdhara Swami, who has his ashram in Santa Barbara. And he took me for a walk. You see, it's where he walks every day because there's a hill that's by the beach. He didn't go for sightseeing, but I saw these people live heavenly existence. But happiness is not things, it's consciousness. So that religion, which gets you to be socialized so that there can be a society that's peaceful and gets you somehow in connection with spiritual people get you somehow in connection with an afterlife that brings you above this temporal existence as the all in all. Still, it's not what Krishna came to give. Krishna came to give annaṁ bilashita shunyam jnana karma janavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilana bhakta uttama. He came to give uttama bhakti, the supreme. What's the supreme bhakti? We don't have any motive selfishly. Anukulyena krishnanu shilanam. And we follow the will of the divine to please God, which is inclusive of everyone. We do things to please others, not to selfishly control ourselves. We all know what material consciousness is because we see how it's played out in the world. So Krishna wants to stop it. He not only wants to stop it, but he wants to have a lila. He wants to have a pastime. I was speaking with Jai Jagannath today. It was so nice. We walked together for lunch. And he has such beautiful realizations. He's very deep. So he was talking about trying to learn techniques of memory, wanting to. And then when we talked with Bhakti-Vigan Swami, he was telling us that really the way people would learn Shastra is not intellectually so much, but they basically would memorize the verses. And that sound vibration, it would have an effect, it would imprint your consciousness. He was talking, Bhakti-Vigan Swami was talking about this one young Bhagavatam reciter who knows the whole Bhagavatam by heart. When he was young, his father was a Bhagavatam reciter, his grandfather was a Bhagavatam. He couldn't eat in the morning unless he recited one chapter. But it has such an effect on the consciousness. So Krishna performs these pastimes so that we can remember them. And if we can recite them, they'll have a very powerful effect on the consciousness, even above the intellectual. Just the sound vibration and absorption. People would learn the Gita and they would recite the Gita. I did that. I had a nice talk with the Kinshin. He was asking me, asking my advice about some things he was doing to deepen his spiritual life. And he shared some of them. I thought they were good. So I told you before my chanting, I would slowly meditate on this one verse, almost imprinting each word in my consciousness. So I started with Chanad api sunichena, Varor api shihishnana, Amanena mandanena kirtaniya siddhari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the store in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. And I would repeat it again and again for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then you see, when you go out in the world, it's imbued your consciousness. And then all of a sudden, more tolerant than a tree. Really tough to be more tolerant than a tree. Mm-hmm. People really can be disturbing, and I'm sure I'm disturbing too. People have to tolerate me. So he came also to exhibit his pastimes so that we can hear about them and be imbued with the form and the qualities and the activities of God, which enthuse within our hearts. Krishna means all attractive, which bring out in our hearts the nature of our soul and our devotion. I'm going to have actually a japa and prayer school. I'm definitely going to start it in April. I figure I'll do once a week per month, and then twice a month. And I'll sometimes have Jai and Akinchana also give a class on what they're doing, which is very interesting. Andrea, sounds interesting.
Yes.
Okay, you could be on. We'll register you. You're the first person. Okay. The nice thing about my thing, it's all done out of love. You don't charge anything. I don't have any expenses, so I don't have to do it. So what's really nice about this pastime, so Krishna wants to stop it. He's not interested in speaking the truth. He's interested in stopping the untruth. So he makes a very interesting point to start off with, which is, and asks his father, what is the purpose of doing this? And basically, if there's no purpose, you don't get the result. This is something that I'm thinking about deeply and thinking about writing about. If you don't do something properly, you don't exactly get the result. Especially in rituals. So you have to do it properly. There's a relationship between doing it properly and knowing why you're doing it. What is the purpose of it? Because everything lines up to a goal. If you don't have your goal, your practice is not going to conform to achieving it. So there's some relationship. Of course, rituals will work anyway if you do them properly, but generally, if you don't really know the purpose, you may lack the determination to perform the austerities to do it properly. You may not get inspired internally to actually understand. And you may not be able to figure out everything. And it was funny because I was speaking to Jai and he was telling me the kind of meditations he's doing. And he said, I was walking down a path, and now I can't just follow and just go down the path. I have to really know why, and therefore I have to experiment a little bit. I just can't follow the path. I have to and I just said, wow, Jai, that's interesting because that's just what Krishna said. Mm-hmm. You can't just walk blindly down a ritual. We see what happens in your country when people don't understand that the purpose of religion is to love God. It becomes just a social thing. The story, this is an interesting story. I went to a friend. He was near Udupi many years ago. He was a very, very dynamic sannyasi. He was from Texas. He was very tall, and he would hold his danda like it was a musket, like a gun. And we used to call him because Davy Crockett Maharaj. This is American folklore, you won't know, but the frontier, and they would carry their guns. And he was a very good sannyasi, but he was He would have the most beautiful places in the world for his ashrams. And he had an ashram where you could go surfing. It was a beautiful ashram. I'm not good for fun. He took me out on his boat. I could care less, with his captain hat. But he showed me, he's a little radical, so he showed me some video. And I guess I'm tired. I lose track. Alzheimer's. Anyway, I'll just keep on talking. Hopefully he comes back.
We're talking about why we perform a ritual, knowing why we're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, now I'll just stop and think. Showed me some relevant video that was interesting. I had to give the background. Okay. Anyway, we're talking about that point. I want to give it more thought because I want to write on it. That relationship between the efficacy of a ritual and knowing the purpose of it. Certainly, goal is important in practice, because I think you may start things, and as things start to become a little more complex, you'll only fit them together rightly and have the realization to apply them the proper way. But we know that ritual generally has to be done properly. The focus is not on the intention as much on the doing it exactly properly. I have this friend, Prabhupada's Prabhupada's first disciple's grandson. He's arguably the most powerful tantric in India. And every sacrifice he does, he prays for my protection.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true. And he's about 50. He just came in to see me. And then was going on, because in their tantra, everything has to be done so perfectly to get the result. So you're saying, no, you can't travel with a deity. Once it's installed, you can't travel with a deity. He gave some good arguments. He said, when the Sikhs bring their holy book and you see them on a plane, they carry it on their head. You don't put your deity in a bag and apply it to these. He gave something. But the point was the ritual is being done properly. Mm. But the knowing the purpose has some important effect. And in bhakti, it's all the purpose, especially Raganuga bhakti, spontaneous devotion. It's all the purpose. It's not the activity, it's the consciousness. The consciousness is an expression of the activity. Without the activity, without the consciousness, the activity doesn't have much effect in bhakti. But Nanda Maharaj responds, I'm in charge of so many people, and we take care of cows. And we require a lot of rain. And the rain comes from Indra, so we should do the sacrifice for Indra. Anyway, Krishna preaches so many different philosophical points, even though he's a young boy. And he's Krishna. And when you're all attractive, people want to please you. And we can't imagine how attractive is Krishna. And he's your son. And they just want to please him so much. So they see it's a strong desire, and somehow they want to please him and do it. So now he starts telling them what to do. Take everything that you did for the rituals to Indra, and you do it for Govardhan Hill in this very same place. You did this other ritual, you do it, and you make a big feast. because this is the best way to convey love. Best way to convey love is to cook for someone with love. And then the fragrance of the food, the texture of the food, the color of the food, the taste of the food, then that carries your love. So he says you cook all these different types of preparations. And then he says, and then it has to be done this way. The Brahmins have to do it this way, and you should feed the priests with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts. Dakshina is important. Some completes the sacrifice to the priest. Dakshina means some gift. Not complete without that gift. So what Krishna is doing is, and he's trying to inspire his father to do this sacrifice, so he has to show that it's authorized. Authorized, coming from authority, not just authority in charge, but authority in competency and understanding and knowledge. It must have that kind of element. He's trying to inspire faith, because without faith, we don't move. Without faith, we don't move. So he wants to inspire faith that this is going to work. And he's starting to say, you do this and do this. At the same time, it's just so charming, because it's Krishna. And he's a young boy, and he's so beautiful, and he has this golden garment. He has this golden garment and bahu-guṇaṁ, a peacock feather. Natavara, and he's the most excellent dancer. Vaijayanti Chamal, and he has these beautiful forest garlands intricately. Bibrad Bishad, his clothes. Kanika, Kapisam. Kanika, golden dhoti. So he's so beautiful. So yes, he's instilling faith, but he's just so charming. They are overwhelmed with love of Krishna, which is the purpose of life. Prema Pumartha Mahan, the greatest thing of value. Prema Pumartha. The thing that has the most value is what? Is love. That's the goal. That's the goal. So they're having this love for God. And when you satisfy God, Sharanagati, when you take shelter in that relationship, then you gain strong faith that I will be maintained and I will be protected. Anyebhyas Shasva Chandala Pati tebhyo Yatarhata Yavasam Chagavan Dattva Giriye deyaṁ Bali. After giving the appropriate food to everyone else, including such fallen souls as dogs and dog eaters, you should give grass to the cows and then present your respectable offerings to Govardhan Hill. So this is worship. worship means that you turn from the false conception of life to the real conception of life. And that is our connection with the divine. When you turn away from who you are, you have to accept the false identity. And that's what's happened now. And that's explained in the Bhagavatam. I explained that verse, I don't know many verses, but I know this one. Ishad upe tasya viparyo smriti. Ishad, when you turn away from God, and turning away from God can't be a physical thing because God is everywhere. You turn away from God in consciousness, which means you don't want to be part of God, you want to be God. So Ishadu Peitasya, when you turn around from Isha, God, Viparyo Smriti, you forget who you are and you fall into an illusion. Illusion is caused when aspirations exceed capability. When aspirations exceed capability, and those aspirations are strong, then you can only fulfill your aspirations in illusion. If your aspirations exceed your capability, you can only fulfill your aspirations in illusion. That's what this material world is. We don't want to be what we are. So God gives us the illusion that we're something that we're not. And what is something we're not? We're not the enjoyers and controllers. We're parts and parcel of the Supreme, and we're meant for service. So, anyway, he wants to instill this faith in them. Do it in this way, properly, appropriate food, and turn towards God. And again, not just physically, but in consciousness. Like your grandmother, Andrea. Right? Humble, right?
Very humble.
World's not about her. There's something greater than herself. It creates such a beautiful heart. And what does she do? She turns towards God. She offers things to God. She sees gods in others. When I see people from South America sometimes, because the modern world has contaminated everything. So to really get them to explain the beauty of sacrifice and surrender and devotion and humility, to get them to understand the beautiful humility, I say, just think of your grandmothers. And then they go back and they think of these pious ladies who sacrifice for their family and were just so sweet and devotional. So this is what Krishna is saying. Turn to me, offer to me. You don't need to do these sacrifices that are mixed with selfish motive. Just have faith that if you surrender to God, as you water the root of a tree, all the branches and leaves will be replenished. So Krishna is saying, have faith. And one more verse. Salankrita bhukta banta swanulipta suvasasa pradikshanam chakuruta govi pranala parvitam. After everyone else has eaten to his satisfaction, you should all dress and decorate yourself handsomely. Smear your bodies with sandalwood paste, and then circumambulate the cows, the brahmanas, the sacrificial hill, the sacrificial fire and go over on hill and dress nicely, which is not just egotistical, it can be very loving. You can dress to please. Like if you go to someone's function, right? There's a wedding you have to go to, and you come in with a ripped pair of jeans. No, you dress nicely for the pleasure of the people. When there was this one hardcore girl who was getting married at 26 Second Avenue to a hardcore singer. And I never forget, and he was wearing this charter. And at a particular time, he had to lift the lady's veil over her head or something. And his charter came up, and you could see his tattoo. I defy you. That was tattooed. But the lady didn't want to dress up for her wedding. But the senior Vaishnavi who was there and guiding her told her, no, it's not egotistical. You can dress for the pleasure of others, for the fire, for your husband, for Krishna. There's a sense of beauty that's devotional, that you can do it for pleasure. I don't know if this is a joke or not, but initially my mother never liked my clothes because I was, we were poor devotees, and I had like crumpled cottons that weren't ironed and faded. You wash them yourself, they weren't clean. She would hold them in disgust and say, what is this shmata? Shmata means rag in Yiddish. But I remember just before she passed away, I went to visit her, and I was with fine pressed silks. She said, oh, that's really nice. She liked the cloth. So you can dress for pleasure. And you're glorifying God. You can dress in a festive way. In a festive, it's just like, when there's a party, there's a feast. When there's a big festival, there's a feast. And, okay, it's a big thing. Okay, we're just going to have rice and dal. What kind of love is that? Bhakti is so nice. Jane and Andrew, when you come, Vasikmo is going to cook. We will show you so much love. We will cook organic. We have this farm here that delivers us organic vegetables. And we're famous for our prasadam. In the morning, we have a special preparation called Giriraj Prem Poha. Poha is flat rice, but we roast it with some spices, some crushed walnuts and raisins, and some grated mooli. Mooli means radish, but the radish is not bitter. It's very subtle, the radish here. I'm feeling, I don't even believe I get organic vegetables in the West now. The way the taste of these vegetables are. I don't believe I even get organic. I think they're faking it.
The soil is not that good.
No, the soil is not so good yet. Well, they have 400 tons of cow dung, so maybe that's different. And it's not so beautiful like the cauliflower. To make it that beautiful white thing, you have to spray it with so many things. So, the bugs, and you gotta wash it a little bit. But festive, nice. Bhakti means to offer the best. So it's part of culture. In the appropriate way, you dress nice to show that this is important, like on a festival day. It's nice when I have I'm a teacher, Jane, and once a year that people celebrate my birthday. So the people, dress nicely. They don't come in cut-off jeans. It's not respectful. Other times, still not respectful, but it's not. It's not as disrespectful. Okay. Wow. Dress beautifully, fine cloth ornaments, refresh their bodies with luxurious sandalwood paste. And therefore, that with Krishna's birthday, it describes how joyous it is. Nanda Keya, Nanda Bayo Jai Kaneya Lalki. Nanda Keya, Nanda Bayo Jai Kaneya Lalki. Jai Kaneya Lalki. Jai Kaneya Lalki. Ati Diya Gora Diya or. It means Nanda Keya, Nanda Bayo. Nanda became so happy when Krishna was born. Jai Kaneya Lal. Kaneya Lal, they both mean like little sweet boy. Kana means Krishna. Lal, little boy. Jai Kaneya Lal Ki, Jai Kana. Hati Diya, and he gave elephants. Goradi, he gave horses. Or Diyapan, he gave palanquins. So festivity can be very much connected with love. It's Krishna's birthday. Gaura Purnima is coming up, and the deities are decorated nicely, and nice prasadam is being offered. Perhaps we can give gifts to the Vaishnavas, or okay. Okay, Jumanajaya, you have some.
Hare Krishna Raj.
Okay, you say hello to Rasik Mohan.
Hi, Rasik Mohan. Hello, hi everybody. Thank you for your association.
Did you know Andrea from Bhakti Center?
She doesn't know me, but I know her.
Oh, I know. No, I recognize your face. I recognize your face.
Okay.
Oh.
So you tell everybody what point did you realize?
There were so many wonderful points, but I particularly love Maharaj, the sort of the silliness of the cheating religion, to think, oh, I'm going to do these things to live a heavenly life. I love the way you put it. But we see people living a quote unquote heavenly life here on earth, and they're not happy. And it just proves the silliness that you're wasting the spiritual potency to try to get, like, even in the spiritual world, something material, and that we see it every day that it's not making us happy. So I really, really appreciate that point, to make it really, it seems silly. And the fact that you called Krishna militant, and he is on a battlefield, in the Bhagavad Gita, when he says surrender all religions, and he is on the battlefield, and that is the real battle, to surrender all this silliness and surrender unto him. So I really made those points, and I really appreciated it so much. Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, thank you, Jumanajaya.
Thank you,
Anybody
Maharaj.
else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
Thank you, Shri Radha.
Okay, Tota, I'm looking forward to seeing you when I get off that plane.
I'll be there. Looking forward to seeing
Okay.
you.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishnamrita. Thank you very much. It was so important for me again to realize that for the pure love to God, we should sacrifice everything.
Thank you. Haribo. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I feel the need to speak up in defense of dal and khichdi. I don't know why.
I didn't say khichdi. I did not say khichdi.
I know you didn't, but
Gail, I did not say khichdi.
No, I know you didn't, but it gets a lot of disrespect in general in ISKCON. And so
Gail, we every day here have khichdi for lunch, every day, with green vegetable and other vegetable, roasted lotus seeds. I'm not quitting Khitri aparad. Right?
Well, and
That's
don't
an
make,
offense, Gail.
don't
That's an
commit,
offense.
don't commit
Accuse me
dal
of
aparad either.
committing
Dal and rice,
Khitri
dal and rice
aparad.
is great.
What?
Not dal and rice aparad either. That stuff is so
Gail,
good. Yeah.
Dal is my favorite preparation. It's just not an elaborate thing. If you have a birthday for Shameshwari, you see how she reacts. Happy birthday. Here's a pot of dal and rice. You know, Gail.
Yeah, no, she would do that because her dal and rice is off the charts. So that would be a happy birthday for me. She knows that.
For you, but your dal and rice for her. I was talking about your dal and rice.
Mine is not bad either.
Okay. Gail, I will see you on the 11th, I assume, and I will see you in Colombia.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same complex. You can ask questions all day. But I also have Jai Jagannath there and I have Sundar Gopal. So you're going to have to exhaust 3 people.
I'll gear up, Maharaj.
You better gear up with your questions. We got some pretty heavy pundits there.
Wait,
Actually,
just one thing, I'm just wondering why, Krishna was so insistent that they get all dolled up for, walking around the hill. I mean, I know the hill is Krishna, but, that doesn't seem like a thing to get all dolled up for.
well, you have to come to Govardhan first before you make that statement.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think you're just trying to get me to go to Govardhan, but okay.
No, I was just getting you to be quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm out.
Okay. Anyone else?
Krishna Gurudev.
Oh, Haribo, say hello to my friends here. Gopa was just with Jai. Jai Jagannath.
Okay,
He's one of your main men, right?
cool.
I can see that. He was talking about Kentucky. Is that Ram Sadowski, the famous Ram Sadowski? Okay, we'll see you. I'm looking forward to the 11th. That's great.
See you soon, Gurudev.
Okay, I will. Okay, anybody else? What's that, Ram?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Haribo. These are my
Haribo. Thanks for
It's great to see you all there together. It's so nice. Haribo. Okay.
Thank you
Good.
very much. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Amala.
This is Amala Vaishnava.
Hello, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Amala,
Yes, Maharaj.
you look so out of place in Albany.
Oh, I feel out of place in Albany.
You should be a guru in Govardhan.
I should have
You got
stayed there.
You got the tattoos, the big neck beads, the right attitude. You saw what happened when we went to Chitrashali. The old lady went and ignored me and offered respects to you. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. When will I see you next?
On the 11th?
You're going to come. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I look forward to see you.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Brajarade.
Rajarade, Haribo.
Hare
Now I'm coming back. I'm going to be gone for a while. But when I come back, I certainly have to come over to your house. When's your new house going to be ready?
I don't know, Maharaj. They are saying May first week.
Okay. All right. I will come over when it's ready.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Narma Saki here.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Say hello. She's also from Iran. That's her father.
Haribo. Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Okay,
Haribol.
we'll see you next year in India. Make a very peaceful plan.
Yeah, hopefully.
Your farm looks beautiful. I can practically smell the rice from here.
Yeah. I'll bring you some next year.
Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Garaj, Lal Govinda.
And Braja, thank you for class.
Thanks for class.
We'll see you soon, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait.
On the 11th.
Yeah, we're gonna have, it's gonna be wonderful. And on the 22nd, Sri Pralad's gonna come.
Oh,
nice.
Where, to Gopa's house? Or
Yeah.
to where? Oh, great.
Well,
Awesome.
I'll do a little program with him. Mostly I'll just introduce it and he can do kirtan and speak.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really, I have so much energy from Govardhan now.
Yeah, that's great.
So I want to see that we have a lot of nice community programs,
Yeah.
Please.
We had a program not too long ago at Gopa's house. We had some.
I heard.
Yeah, it was really nice. Jaya presented a really beautiful class on Jaya.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, your time was really great.
Okay, great. Okay.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Very nice. Good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Sri Gandharva.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great that you're coming. I already announced it now. Will you be, you're not free on the 11th, are you?
No, just
Oh,
in the 22nd.
how many more years you have?
Well, I have this 3 years, but it's going to be different next year. I'm gonna have both weekends free, both days in the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So it's gonna be better.
When does that start?
In July.
Oh, okay. So this year you may be able to even come to my Vyas Puja.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Amala, Hare Krishna. Nice to see
Hare
you.
Krishna, Gurudev.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Shri Rupa.
Shri Rupa, I get back on the 9th. What time do you get out of work? You should call me, okay?
I'll let you know my schedule. It's different every day.
Okay, but we're supposed to talk when I get back, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's make a good appointment. Okay,
Thank
anybody
you,
else?
Maharaj.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I'm here.
My favorite family. Okay, say hello to.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Rasik, there he is.
Yeah, it's somehow by Krishna's grace, there's always some people here.
That's so nice.
And we're having such nice prasad for people, and it's great. But I miss Kaylee a lot.
I miss you too, Maharaj.
Okay, we should talk next week, okay?
Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
you guys too. I miss you guys too. But
Oh.
Good.
hey, Karuna, let me see a sleeve of tattoos. I want to show them. You see, this is the way these pious girls do it.
Oh, nice.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's all right. I'm doing it because she has tattoos, and people who have tattoos like to see other people with tattoos.
Oh, okay. All right. It's cool.
But Haley's is very tasteful. It's very high class. Are you not getting more, are you?
Not at the
Okay,
moment.
thank you. Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, I'm headed out. Bunch of Kalpa Trivia circuits.